Well, in August, cybersecurity firm Night Dragon teamed up with us, the New York Stock Exchange, to host Cyber Live from Texas called Defending the Next Horizon. We cover the latest innovation happening in defense tech, dual use, and cyber, of course, in the Lone Star State and the surrounding area. So I was on the ground in Austin, where I spoke with Zach Walker, former Texas lead for the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU for short, and he shared how the organization is helping bridge the Department of Defense with the tech sector. Let's take a listen.
At its core, the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU, is the Department of Defense's primary bridge to the commercial technology sector. Their mission is to accelerate commercial technology for national security applications. And this is really important for two reasons. The first reason, of course, is for national security. All of the amazing things happening now in artificial intelligence and autonomy, right? This is happening in the commercial sector. It's being driven in the private sector. And so there has to be a way for the military to bring in that technology in a quick and efficient manner. And beyond that, for the economy, DIU was really a pioneer in lowering the barrier to entry for smaller organizations that were typically left out of the traditional defense system. And so it's really it's a tremendous opportunity for these organizations to get good government contracts and non-dilutive capital to help build their capabilities up.
The Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU, as you've referenced it, is celebrating its 10th anniversary. And it's my understanding that you were a part of the early days of the DIU in the Austin office. What was it like then? And what was the vision that you were building?
I'd say 10 years ago, it was completely different. It was like a startup inside the Department of Defense. I remember very well having senior executives or general officers come to Austin and just be blown away by what they would see here, because you had academia involved, you had startups, you had risk capital, you had all of these ingredients that make for successful technology in one spot, which you don't really get in somewhere like the Pentagon or in a lot of other places. It was chaotic, but it was very impactful. And I think that as time went on, we worked on really that, I'd say, misinterpretation of what defense does to the private sector and understanding the private sector in the military side. That really was the main mission of DIU. It was to build a bridge, to reconnect that, because a lot of people don't realize a lot of Silicon Valley came from investments from the U.S. federal government after World War II. And so for us to have lost that is something that was really important for the secretaries of defense to try and fix.
How did the Texas office become an outpost for the strategy of the DoD?
Texas is at a really interesting nexus of technology, academics, mission. We have a lot of really cutting edge capabilities in artificial intelligence, energy, space, additive manufacturing. These are critical industries to the Department of Defense. And so to put a DIU office in Texas made perfect sense, I think, almost 10 years ago, as a way to tap into this, I think, for DoD to show that they could build that bridge from the Department of Defense to a major tech hub. And that's exactly what they did here in Austin.
You have a fascinating background. You're a founder, you're a military officer, and a cybersecurity expert. How did those experiences lead you to the DIU?
I've just been very fortunate in my time in the military and working in the intelligence community to be able to get an interesting array of experiences and then bring them in to DIU. The truth is that I've lived on both sides of that bridge that DIU is trying to create. So on one side, in the military, my time in the NSA, Pentagon, Iraq, I got to see firsthand the issues that our warfighters have, being able to get technology that works when they need it. And then now, as a founder, on the other side, I have a great understanding of the considerations of having a company and what it takes and the incentives and the risk and just that way of thinking, and which is obviously very different than a typical Department of Defense way of thinking.
Sounds like those skill sets then are very helpful and crucial in some ways for the DIU. Is that the case?
It's really crucial. What DIU, they didn't have any magical powers that other parts of DoD didn't have when they first started. Now they were empowered certainly to do things that others didn't. They could accept that risk. But I think key to DIU's success was the caliber of people that had that dual fluency that could work on both sides of the bridge.
With your expertise, give us an example of a cyber-related project that you worked on while at the DIU.
I had just left CIA with their cybersecurity side, and DIU was looking to transition some technology from DARPA that really was the first wave of artificial intelligence. But there was not a clear way to get that technology into the Department of Defense. And so DIU wanted to start an effort to see if they could bring that technology, do the transition, cross that gap. And I was very fortunate to have a chance to have been involved in that. And what I think was really remarkable about that project, especially in 2016, you think artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, cyber warfare, that must have taken years to get the contract done. We actually got the first award for $5 million in 26 business days. And I think to me, especially now that I'm a business owner, that level of commitment from the Department of Defense, showing that they mean business, showing that they can do something very complicated in that short amount of time, I think signaled to the community that DIU was real. And it's not just another organization talking about innovation and then prototype that technology in places that need it the most, as you can imagine, organizations that would need that, and then transition it. And that's always been the biggest challenge, is then after this prototype, how do you get that technology in the hands of people in perpetuity? And we did all that, and I was very lucky to be part of it.
And thanks again to Zach Walker, former Texas lead for the Defense Innovation Unit, or DIU. In other news,